Okay, so we are live. I'm back at my house. Got my laundry done, so I'm back here, and I'm wearing the same shirt. Why am I wearing the same shirt? I just did laundry. Now I just grabbed a shirt and I wasn't paying any attention to which one I grabbed because I was just gonna leave the house and buy some lunch and come back here and take a nap. But I got caught up in a bunch of stuff. But I now have a GI Joe classified Crimson Guard, which this is one of the figures from this wave that I did not manage to get pre-ordered on Walmart because I'm sorry on Amazon, because on Amazon they sold out their pre-order instantly because apparently you can sell out of a pre-order. Which to me, what's the point of a pre-order then? Really they should just like do the pre-order and then order enough figures to fill their pre-order instead of like ordering the figures and then having the pre-order. That doesn't make any sense. So whatever. So, but I found him at a Walmart, and oddly enough, when I bought him at Walmart, he was marked down. So I wound up getting him marked down, brand new figure that just showed up at Walmart today. I don't know how they do these things, and yet there's still Robert Pattinson Batman figures hanging on the pegs from like over a year ago when that movie first came out. So let's look over the packaging artwork real quick, and it's pretty neat. You got a nice picture of the Crimson Guard there with his sword and some Crimson Guardsmen, no doubt up to something sinister as they usually are. And I'm not sure who did the artwork for this. I'm sure I could look it up online. But the style reminds me a lot of Bill Sienkiewicz, who is a comic book artist that I greatly admire. So if you follow him on Facebook, you can usually see him doing portraits of recently deceased celebrities. So that's kind of become like a thing that he does lately, and he's really good at it. So definitely worth picking out. Whoa, he slid out of there real quick. This is an action figure that can't wait to be unboxed. So let's see, we got some stuff on the side here. Let's see if we can figure out what it is. This means that he's a big fan of Skeletor, which makes sense because they're both 80s toy villains. So that's cool. This means that he likes to blow things up because of dynamite. This means basket weaving. It's one of his favorite hobbies, and this means that something really grinds his gears. So that's what those mean. Sorry if I'm not as clever at doing that as Hooded Cobra Commander 788, but yeah, I stole that bit from him. So if you want to see it done right, go watch one of his videos. So here's got an M16 with a bayonet attached to it, very similar to the weapon that the original Crimson Guardsman came with. And here we got the magazine for that. Let's see if I can get that out. That is really packed in there tight. I think they actually it's the packet, the plastic is all wrapped around this thing in like a weird way. So I'm actually gonna have to cut it out of the packaging. So there we go. Hopefully that got it. So there we go. Got that out. And I'll probably wind up gluing this in here later, like I usually do. I'm going to turn on my ring light. So I forgot to do that. Because a lot of times these things fall out on me. I don't like it when they fall out on me. I don't see a bullet sculpted into this one, so it doesn't really matter. I know which way it goes in there, but I usually like to look for the bullet if it's there. And man, that looks a lot like the weapon that the original Crimson Guardsman came with. It also looks a lot like the weapon that came with Airborne. So I can kind of imagine that if they're planning on doing Airborne, and I'm sure that they are because he's like a really cool character, they'll probably come with that same rifle, and I think that will be a good choice. So then we have this sword, which I think is probably supposed to be more of a ceremonial sword. Very cool looking. We're going to set that aside for the moment. Then we have this handgun, sidearm. Like I wanted to say side iron and then change the sidearm, and then it became the same word. I hate it when that happens. But yeah, this one looks kind of like the bastard love child of a Glock and a Desert Eagle. Again, I'm not a gun guy, but that's just what it reminds me of. I'm sure somebody out there watching who maybe actually is a gun guy can be like, actually, that's a, whatever gun it is. Especially because a lot of G.I. Joe guys are gun guys, but not me, sadly. Maybe that should be something I should look into. I don't know. But yeah, we got a sheath for the sword. The sheath is kind of warped, but I'm going to go ahead and put the sword in there anyway. And even when being kind of warped, it went in there pretty easily. And it seems like it kind of locks at the top a little bit. Like that's where it kind of thickens up, and it stays in there pretty good. Even when we warping the sheath back into the right shape, it doesn't seem to want to come out of there. So you have to actually pull it out of there. So that's good. I like that. I'm not going to leave the sword in the sheath though, since the sheath is warped, and I don't want the sword to get warped as well. So we're going to set that aside for now. And then we have this dagger, and it's a pretty cool looking little dagger. It's got like a little claw thingy at the pommel. Let's see if I can get that to focus a little better. Pretty neat. So got some nice detail in there. Like it's almost made like it's supposed to be kind of vaguely snake shaped, the whole handle of it. So that's cool. And then we have the distinctive Crimson Guard backpack. Now on the original figure, this backpack was the same color red as the rest of the figure, but in this one they made the backpack black. But it's still very much that classic, iconic Crimson Guardsman backpack. It looks kind of like an attaché case. It's got little buckles down the side, little Cobra sigil right there. Very sharp. Just the thing for the young up and comer that the Crimson Guard should be. Basically, the Crimson Guards were yuppies. They were all like, doctors and lawyers and mainly like sleeper agents. On the cartoon series, the Crimson Guard were kind of used interchangeably with the Blue Cobra troop. But as it was described in the file card and as he was portrayed in the comics, the Crimson Guardsman was actually much more of a sleeper agent kind of character, and would infiltrate polite society, and certain people of the upper echelons, various politicians and lawyers and doctors and professors and people in the upper echelons of society might actually have a Crimson Guard uniform in their closet. Might actually be a sinister character. So yeah, he's pretty cool. His helmet is not removable. He has like a solid molded on helmet. I kind of hoped that maybe the helmet would come off and you'd see Fred's head underneath, but not yet. I'm sure they're saving that for later on. We'll probably have a Fred Crimson Guardsman later. If not a removable helmet, then maybe like a swappable head or something like that. So let's go ahead and put all of his weapons into his various sheaths and such like that. So the pistol obviously will go into the holster here, and that's a pretty tight fit. It's not quite wanting to go in there all the way. Like the trigger guard is maybe like a little bit too big for that to fit in there correctly. And the plastic itself on the holster, it seems like it's a little bit less pliable even than these holsters usually are. So probably what I'm going to do later. Oh, there we go. I got it to go in now. So maybe it was just hung up on something, but maybe there was like a stray piece of plastic that got stuck in there. But it went in there now. What I was going to say, if you were having a hard time with it, what I was going to do was hit it with a hairdryer for a couple of seconds, but that's not going to be necessary now. So then we got the knife, and looking at the way the sheath fits in there, obviously the flat part of the knife goes towards the front and the blade goes towards the back, and that fit in there nicely. And you can see the little claw bit hooks over the top of the sheath. All fits together very well. A lot of good details on this figure, by the way. I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera, but there actually is like even if I get it to focus, I don't think it will show up that well. But there's like a texture to the uniform here, like kind of etched into it. And that's not unusual to see on a lot of these modern action figures, especially when they can go in there and do it like digitally. It's a lot easier than having to try to sculpt that stuff in by hand. It doesn't seem to be like that way on the rest of the figure. Like the sleeves are pretty smooth. The torso on the back still has a texture, but it's not quite as pronounced as that bib front. That's where they seem to have put most of it. Got a nice sharp cobra emblem on there. You know, a lot of these classified figures, even the ones that are faithful to the designs of the original figures, they seem to find ways to update the figures and change them and make them more modern. But this guy seems like a pretty exact replication of the Crimson Guardsman as he was designed in the 80s toy. And I think that is a testament to exactly how sharp that original design was, is that they didn't have to do a whole lot to update him or, make him look cool or more detailed or more, sharp or anything like that. He already looked really cool. So that ahead of his time, I guess we'd say. So he's got some medals there at his shoulders. Like I said, this is an elite trooper. As it says in the file card, he's too expensive to waste on the battlefield. Even though on the cartoon, like I said, on the cartoon they tended to use him the same way they used the Blue Cobra troopers. There was almost no distinction. He was just another army builder. But seeing that sharp uniform on those episodes, you can't really complain. He does have the Crimson Guard insignia patch on the left arm there, so that's really cool. It's just like so much detail on here, and anybody who was a fan of the original Crimson Guard figure, and let's face it, there's a lot of us because he was one of the more popular army builder figures in the line. You're going to be happy with this figure. I just know it. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of time and put the rest of the accessories on him and see how well everything fits in here. So the backpack goes on him pretty well. I'm pretty happy with how that's sticking on him. We got this little peg over here at the side, and what I'm assuming is that this peg will hold the rifle and it'll fit through the trigger guard. There we go. Yep. So he can hold the rifle there. Now, if you're going to store a rifle on your backpack, I would advise you to not store it by sticking a peg through the trigger guard. That's not a very good way to hold a rifle. Now, obviously, with this being a toy, we're going to pretend that he's just got it like strapped to the backpack in some way, and that it's not held on by a peg that goes through the trigger guard, because that's not good gun safety. I'm just going to say that. All right, so then we got the sword in the sheath, and I'm going to put the sword back in the sheath for now. I'm going to turn it this way, so if it does get warped, at least it'll get warped in the way a blade would normally curve. It's a very straight blade, though, so I don't think it's supposed to fit in there. Now, there is a backpack peg on here, so I'm assuming we can peg it into his back. So let's go ahead and do that, get that out of the way. It's a little small to do that, so it's not really a backpack peg like I thought. So it's not going to fit on his back, unfortunately. But there is a peg here, a peg hole here, and I'm assuming that the sword will go in there. And it does. So he can carry all of his weapons on his backpack. But I also noticed there's another hole here at the side. So what we can also do, I'm imagining, also have the sword on his belt, which since it's supposed to be like a ceremonial type of sword, like what the Marines have. He's not really supposed to go into battle like actually using a sword. This is just part of his uniform. But yeah, you can have it hanging to the side like that, and that's pretty cool. So this is a great figure. I'd like to have multiples of him since he is an army builder. I would like to have one just to repaint it in blue and put a Cobra Commander head on here, because I think that would also make for a seriously sharp Cobra Commander figure, especially with the sword on the belt. Very cool. I think that will work out pretty well. So this is a really impressive figure, and I think if you're a collector of G.I. Joe Classified, you're definitely going to want to have this guy in your collection. Look at the boots. They even got like the boots with that right sort of like upward angle swoop there, like the original ones had, the little pouch on there, little spurs. He doesn't actually have the spurs coming out the back, but he's got little buckles on there. He's a cool looking figure. And like I said, he's not really supposed to be a battlefield trooper. This is more of a ceremonial type of uniform. But if you wanted to, I could definitely see you using him as like a like the leader of your whatever Cobra platoon you got. Like maybe you've got like a couple of like me. I've got a couple of the regular Cobra troopers and a few of the officers, and then I've got the 3 pack of Vipers. And you could have this guy be like kind of like the lieutenant who's in charge of all of these guys, that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. If you only have one, like I only have one, but it'd be nice to have more than one, and hopefully I'll be able to find some more. If I can find some more that were marked down like that, that would be the best. But yeah, I'm pretty happy that I finally found this guy and glad to have him in my collection because he was one I was worrying I wasn't going to be able to find. Now I do know that they have a retro carded version of him, and I think the main difference between the retro carded version of him is this one is accurate to the toy, where he has a silver visor and a black face mask. But I don't know what the other versions are, but I think I noticed I think it was the retro version that I saw, that he'll have a silver face mask with a black visor, which is how they drew it on the cartoon show. It's probably easier to animate that way. So, but yeah, the Crimson Guardsman definitely gets a thumbs up for me. You're going to want to get this guy. You're probably going to want to get multiples of this guy. Definitely worth picking up. So that's pretty much it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Let me know what you think about the Crimson Guard. Both as a character, as a figure. Did you like the vintage figure? I liked the 25th anniversary figure pretty well, even though like the proportions were kind of gangly. I still thought it was a pretty sweet figure. This one is probably better than that one, at least better proportioned, and I like the choice of accessories better. He's got a much wider range of accessories and very cool ones at that. That one I remember had like a 6-shooter for some reason over here. Neither one of those though is what I think that the vintage figure had. I think the vintage figure's sidearm was supposed to be actually like a one of those smaller kind of shotguns, like the almost pistol sized shotguns. The ones that when Marauder makes them, I like to give them to my shipwreck figures. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.